fronts. Welcome once again to the show. I'm Araba Kumsin. It's exactly 90 days to the December general elections, but already the Electoral Commission is warning the factors that trigger violence in polls such as youth unemployment, religious radicalism, and proliferation of small arms, among others, is very much existent. The Commission says it is a wake-up call for all stakeholders in the process to avert violence in the upcoming elections. Speaker upon speaker at a colloquium on the need for peaceful elections held in Accra today emphasized the potential for election-related violence and the need for the electoral process to be open and transparent to avert conflict. Here's Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Charlotte Osei.
It is probably a wake-up call for all of us and time for us to do some serious reflection on where we're taking this nation to. For this year's elections, the Electoral Commission has designated 81 out of the 275 constituencies as flashpoints, or places where there is a potential for election-related violence. At this point, we believe that we require concerted effort by all political actors, by state institutions, by the media, by the security agencies, all of us working together towards a more civilized political culture and to ensure peaceful elections in Ghana. Earlier in the year, when we conducted a limited voter registration exercise, there were over 24 incidents of violence resulting in injuries and destruction of registration equipment and materials belonging to the Electoral Commission. Just last month, an office of the Electoral Commission was set on fire in a suspected case of arson, following a dispute between political parties during the continuous voter registration exercise. As Napoleon Bonaparte reminds us, if they want peace, nations should avoid the pinpricks that precede cannon shots. We have a high number of pinpricks in our nation, judging from the situation of our youth unemployment, issues of religious radicalism in the sub-region, illegal drug use. You add to that unemployment, you add to that proliferation of small arms. All the pinpricks for conflict are in place. And when you throw that into a very tense, very volatile political culture, it is time we start working to prevent.
So that's Electoral Commission Chairperson there, Charlotte Osei. Now, head of the United Nations Office for West Africa, Mohammed Ibn Chambers, lauded Ghana for maintaining its reputation as a model for the conduct of peaceful elections in the sub-region. However, he also pointed out that the counting and tabulation of ballots can uphold or destroy the validity of the process.
And I want to encourage the Electoral Commission to further intensify these efforts, particularly in relation to communication as a critical element as we move forward. During this phase, the political parties are expected to constantly and publicly reaffirm their commitment to a fair and peaceful process. I therefore urge the political parties to desist from attacks on personalities and focus on relevant issues pertaining to the lives of Ghanaians. The election campaigns should be an opportunity to debate issues and perspectives instead of trading insults, invectives, use of hate speech, or language likely to foment bitterness, rancor, or violence.
So that's head of the United Nations Office for West Africa, Mohammed Ibn Chambers there, speaking at the colloquium on peaceful elections organized by the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center there. Now let's turn our attention on President Mahama, who's been talking about a wide range of issues which have generated discussions in the media and swift rebuttals from the opposition New Patriotic Party. The president sat down for a one-on-one chat with Good Evening Ghana host Paul Adumotre on Metro TV Tuesday. And in that interview, he dismissed a report by the Economic Intelligence Unit, EIU, that predicted a win for the NPP in the December election, saying there have been significant changes in his administration since the report was published. The UK-based EIU in July this year repeated its forecast of an NPP win in this year's presidential polls after a similar prediction in April. But the president explained that the underlying reasons for the EIU prediction has since become redundant because of the efforts being made by his government to transform the economy. President Mahama was also confident he would secure a second term.
And you should have read the caveat. They said it depends on the performance of the economy. They said it depends on the performance of the economy.
Yes.
And they said at the time they were making the assessment, we were in the middle of the power crisis. The economy was still struggling for stability. Since then, things have changed. Factors have changed. The economy is more stable. We just finished the third review mission. They just left last week. And things are on track. The IMF is going to go to the board on the 21st and endorse Ghana's continued program. We've managed to stabilize the power situation. And currently, Ghanaians can see the volume of work that we've done. Probably at the time the EIU did its prediction, we had not started selling our story. We hadn't come out with a green book. We hadn't started, letting Ghanaians see the extent of the work that we had done.
Well, the president also criticized the NPP flag bearers' campaign promises, describing them as outmoded. During his campaign tour, Nana Akufo-Addo has, among others, promised to build factories in all districts in the country and build irrigation dams for each village in the north. President Mahama said the NPP leader's style is archaic and is an archaic way of politicking, adding that government is already implementing most of those ideas.
You take one dam, one village, one dam, or one dam, one village. You need to understand what is he talking about. Now, if you want to do irrigation dams must have a feed-in source of water. And so you are talking of barrage dams and proper irrigation dams. Barrage dams are if a stream is flowing and then you put a wall across it, then you hold the water back. You can use that for dry season gardening, but not every village has a stream flowing by it. And so if you say one village, one dam, and you talk about the dugouts by the end of the dry season, the water is finished, they are dried up. And so he needs to, that's what I'm saying, when his manifesto comes out, we'll understand what he's talking about.
Well, the NPP says the president's criticism of their flag bearers' campaign promises demonstrates his lack of vision for the country, saying President Mahama lacks the courage to attempt new ideas which will lift Ghana out of poverty. Mustafa Hamid speaks for the NPP flag bearer.
Understand governance. He doesn't understand governance, and that's very sad. I was just telling your sister station in Akan that the Akan people say that this country has myriads of problems, and we ought to attend. We have to have solutions for each of those problems. What have we promised so far? A region for the northern part of the western region. One factory, one district, one factory to resolve our unemployment crisis. One irrigation facility, one village in the northern part of Ghana to resolve our hunger problems and our deficit in food production. I don't see how that can be considered as too much or outmoded.
His
he doesn't understand governance.
Is that you're just throwing it out there without putting out the details so that people can be better informed to make informed choices when they are going to the polls.
Well, first of all, I have said that from the time God created Adam and Eve to date, no manifesto on earth has ever given detailed costing of anything. What manifestos do are statements of intent. And then when you get the opportunity in governance, you then do the costing of the manifesto, and then you decide based on the resources of the country what aspects of the manifesto should become priority for you. In any case, Our argument is that the kinds of money that has accrued to the NDC government in 8 years, under the 8 years of President Kufuor, taxes and loans amounted to 20 billion Ghana cedis. And Kufuor was able to do with the 20 billion what he did with mass transport, with school feeding, with health insurance and all that.
So that's Mustafa Hamid. He's a spokesperson for the NPP flag bearer, Nana Akufo-Addo. You're still watching Election Brief here on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. I'm Arba Kumsi. We're taking a short break. When we return, the PPP running mate joins us in the studio to share her experiences with us a month after she was outdoored. Welcome back to the show. Now, the National Democratic Congress is angry at the Electoral Commission for deleting about 192 names of its sympathizers from the electoral roll at the Ewutu Senya East constituency in the Central Region. The EC deleted the names after obtaining an order from the court. You can get more details from our Central Regional correspondent, Richard Kojo, who's been following up on this particular issue. Kojo, we understand that officials of the party have been addressing a press conference. What have they been saying?
Well, currently, they are done with the press conference, and they have been saying that 192 members of the NDC, their names have been deleted from the electoral roll, and according to them, the EC officer there did not follow due process. What happens usually when your name is going to be struck out from the register is that someone challenges, and then there is a committee that is set to look into the matter. This was not done. The people whose names were deleted from the electoral roll, they were not given any hearing, and so there is a clear breach of the natural, the rule of natural justice. And so I spoke with the municipal chief executive, who is the NDC's candidate, and they are currently in court studying the judgment, and they are saying that they are going to also file a writ, because he tells me that the name of the wife and other family members who are clearly NDC people have been deleted from the roll without a due process. And so they are calling on the EC chair to sack or remove the EC electoral officer at the Ewutu Senya, because it is a clear breach. They see that he's connived with the incumbent member of parliament for the area, who is the MPP's candidate. He's clearly conniving with him to disenfranchise the NDC supporters that are there.
Play the video. Play the video. Come to me, come to me. So that's our Central Regional correspondent Richard Kojo with that update from the news conference by the NDC officials in the Ewutu Senya East constituency in the Central Region. Now, a month ago, she was virtually unknown, especially by many of the electorate in the country. But now she's becoming a familiar name, especially when the Progressive People's Party is mentioned. I'm talking about none other than running mate for the Progressive People's Party, Bridget Jogbenuku. She joins us in the studio to tell us about the experience, how the experience has been a month after she was outdoored. Welcome to Election Brief, Bridget.
Thank you very much.
First of all, tell us, how do you pronounce your name? You know, in the wake of all this controversy about how people spell people's names and pronounce people's names, give us the correct pronunciation for your name. Is it Brigitte, is it Bridget, or is it Bridget?
I was named after Brigitte, but I've been called Bridget all my life, so I'll take any of them. Brigitte or Bridget is fine.
Okay.
I won't fault you for calling me Brigitte, and I'll take Bridget as well.
Okay.
I actually thought you were going to ask about my last name, rather.
Oh, no. How about your last name? How
it's Jogbenuku.
Jogbenuku. So I got that right.
Yes, you did.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, before you were announced as running mate for Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum, you were virtually unknown.
Yes.
I say virtually unknown because a lot of people, a lot of Ghanaians did not know you.
As a politician.
As a politician, yes. So you had very little political, experience. Tell us what went through your mind when you were called to, or nominated to be a running mate for Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum.
Well, the first thing was I said, what have they done to me? I was quite happy sitting in my little corner and making some noise about the situation in the country, the political situation and the economy. But it was mainly in social media and amongst friends, and maybe as people would quote me on Occupy Ghana, where my voice was heard very loudly about 2 years ago. So I just thought, well, I'm quite happy doing this. I'm quite happy in my little corner. But then thinking about it, because it wasn't a one-day's decision, it took me a few weeks to decide to do this. I asked myself, if you are not going to do it, who do you expect to do it? And therefore, by the time I was announced, as much as it was very overwhelming, it was still very overwhelming. I had prepped myself to take it up. Yes.
All right. So you've seen a lot of campaigning going on. In fact, we're now, the campaign season is now heating up. You see the MPP and the NDC, as well as the PPP and the CPP flag bearers moving around a lot. This is a new terrain for you. How has it been campaigning, going out there to, garner votes for the party?
For me, for most things, I take the learning experience first. So it's been a great learning experience, getting to see parts of Ghana that I haven't seen, getting to meet people that I knew existed but never really visited. And also it's been a good experience interacting with people, especially seeing different people, how they live their day-to-day lives, and the learning the political life has also been very good. It's exposed me to a lot. And it's been interesting. I've enjoyed it so far, although I've only been to 2 parts.
Where have you been? We know
I've
you've
been to the Volta region. I started with the Volta region. Initially, I went to the Volta region to greet the chiefs and people of Ve, where I come from.
Okay.
And then I went to the few constituencies in the Volta region, K2 South, Ho West, Ho Central, South Dine, and Keta, Akati. I've been to those areas. And then I've been to the eastern region, Fantiakwa, New Jabing, a few areas in that area, a few constituencies in the eastern region as well. And Sawam was very interesting, walking through the markets. Some places I walk through the marketplaces and to interact with the market women. And I love the markets. I've always loved the markets. I mean, I did Accra as well. I did.
So what do you tell the people when you go out there?
The interesting thing is that the people are already gunning for a change. They are ready for a change. So when you get there, yes.
When you say they're ready for a change, what do you mean? Are they dissatisfied with the current conditions?
Of course, they are dissatisfied with the current conditions. And what has happened is, you hear them saying, and I can't, yes, the same, we are changing, we're not voting in the same pattern anymore. And that is to mean that they've tried both parties, or both major parties as they call them, the NDC and the NPP, and now people are ready to say, you know what, let's do something different. Let's address the issues. It's not about I was born into it, or this is how my parents asked me to. We need to change. We need our lives to change.
But those were similar comments made in 2012 when the minority parties were saying that people are tired of the 2 major parties, and so they wanted a change. And yet we saw
that's why I stepped in, because that is what I was saying as well. And if I have stepped in to say things have to change, because I kept saying there's a need for a third party, and I don't call us a third party in vain. We will be one of we will probably come first too. We will likely come first too. So people have said it. People haven't acted. I chose to act, and I know a lot of people have chosen to act, and it will change.
How do you respond to those who say that, voting for the PPP is a vote wasted?
In
fact, I know that you have
that
embarked on a don't waste your vote campaign.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
What we say is this. If you think that a vote for the PPP is a wasted vote, you should think about it this way. PPP has come with promises, and our flag bearer says he's a doer. He's not a promiser. He's not just going to promise and leave it. And he has already done things.
Such as?
His businesses, which has employed so many people. And people say, well, a businessman, he has been in government as well and held several positions from the, I wouldn't call it the least, but from the local level to the executive. And if he has done that and has the experience in it, and with that experience as well, he's been able to build businesses to employ Ghanaians. And you say it's a wasted vote. You would rather waste for someone who's making promises in the open, promises that were not fulfilled 4 years ago. They haven't been fulfilled, and they say we are still going to do it. Those are the wasted votes. You vote for someone who is not delivering.
Okay, so what's the main message you send to the people when you go to the ground, beyond the fact that they should change? They should change from the status quo.
You know what? It's not even, you don't have to belabor the message so much, because you go and you see so many unemployed youth just lounging, doing nothing, sitting around. And it's worrying. So when you go, and Dr. Papa Kwesino and the PPP say, we are coming with jobs, they are eager to hear it. When you go and you know that a lot of them have failed SSC and cannot go the next step, and you say, we are promising you free education to SS level, uninterrupted, and you are going to make sure that when you are done, you are moving on to get vocational training if you are not unable to continue. These are the things that people want to hear, because they can see that it's not happening for them. Their lives are at a standstill.
I know you've heard this a lot of times, but there are people who say that Dr. Papa Kwesi Ndum is a wonderful gentleman. He's the best president Ghana will never have. How do you feel when you hear comments like that?
It pains me, and I try to tell people, if you know that this is the person who should be the president of Ghana, why do you say he will never have it? Because you're voting that same way. You're wasting your vote. If you feel that he's the man Ghana must have, then put your votes where you believe will work for you.
All right.
And that is what we are trying to tell people.
Okay, very quickly, tell us, where are you headed next on your campaign?
I'm going to the Western region. I'm actually looking forward to it. I'll do the Western region and do parts of the Central region, and then break for a day or two and go to the Brown and Afro region.
It looks like it's going to be quite busy for you.
It's going to be hectic, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you very much. So that is a running mate of Dr. Papa Kwesi Ndum, who is the PPP flag bearer. Her name is Brigitte Jogbenuku. Thank you very much for your time again. All right, and that's how we wrap up the show. I'm Araba Kumson. Join us same time tomorrow. The Pulse with Francis Aban is up next.